Hi everyone, you're live watching Good for the Game TV. It's another big weekend of English Premier League football. We've got two massive derbies taking place on Sunday. We'll sink our teeth into that for sure. And then we will talk about our plans for next week because, of course, we've got another round of English Premier League matches taking place in midweek. We'll see what happens there. But joining me on the line now, or joining me from Neisner, it's Chris Sturdy at Good for the Game on Twitter. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Brent. Looking forward to this weekend, particularly the matches on Sunday, the derbies.
It certainly is. I mean, it's kind of a weighted weekend for me. I remember last weekend we spent most of our time on the Saturday games. There were a couple of sort of fairly obscure Sunday games, but this is very different. We've got the big Arsenal-Spurs game, and then, of course, we've got Liverpool against Everton, and you just don't get much bigger than that.
Yeah. I mean, there should be cracking matches. There's also Chelsea and Fulham as well as derby match, West London derby. There's not much in terms of distance between those sides. So, yeah, it's all derbies on Sunday in the Premier League.
And I must say, Fulham, I think you called a bit of an improvement under the new manager, and there certainly was some last week.
Yeah, I definitely remember we didn't know which way to go with the goals because Southampton knew they were playing don't score many. And I was sat on the fence between unders and overs. I think there was 5 goals, and you'd have been home and dry after about 20 minutes.
Yeah, the goals were absolutely flowing in that game. But certainly a big week. How did you go with your League One bets last week?
Yeah, it was Sunderland let us down. I needed Sunderland to win. Should have gone Sunderland over 1.5 goals. They drew 2-2. Played most of the game with 10 men. Charlton, that were the banker, they came through. So they delivered for us. And then in midweek, I made a bit of a late call. I think I put it on our discussion forum on Good for the Game, Koza. Sunderland over 1.5 goals. And I managed to get 4. So, yeah, my team's going well, man.
Excellent. Well, let's move into this weekend's action. And we start off on Friday night, Chris, a rare Friday night English Premier League game, Cardiff against Wolves. And before I get into the game, just a shout out to Vin Naidu joining us on the live chat. Good to have you with us, Vin. Look forward to your tips. And well done on you. Arsenal and both teams to score last week at 26-10, and that was your GG Gaming free bet as well. So I'm sure you had a nice chunk on that one. Well played to you there. But Chris, Cardiff up against Wolves on Friday night. It looks a game which may be quite tough to call. The draw 22-10 and Wolves favourite at 12-10, but they were very disappointing last week.
Yeah, definitely. 2-0 at home to Huddersfield. They got beat. Shocking performance, really. I don't think they could have any excuses about the result. Yeah, looked at this one, Brent, but not for any great length of time. Bottom 3 are all on 8 points. Cardiff are one of those teams. They've only won twice this season, but both those were at home. There is a stat, 5 of 7 home games have gone over 2.5 goals. People might latch onto that. But then when you look at Wolves, only 2 of Wolves' 13 matches have gone over 2.5 goals, and none of their 6 away fixtures. So that gets more than negated, really, by the Wolves stats. Yeah, man. You mentioned the draw. I don't know whether you were trying to steer me in that direction, but I was heading there anyway.
Right, the stalemate here, 22-10. We won't spend too much time then on the Friday night game, Chris. Going on to Saturday, we've got 5 live fixtures on Saturday. We've got Manchester City up against Bournemouth. City predictably short at 1-8, and you can get 20-1 on Bournemouth. Yeah,
definitely 20-1, and yet it's probably about right, isn't it? The way that City play. I mean, they did draw 2-2 in midweek in the Champions League, so somebody's managed to stop them there. But in terms of English Premier League, I mean, they're rattling up the wins, and the amount of goals, the sheer volume of goals is just phenomenal, really, isn't it? And with this one, you know, when we'll come on to Sunday's matches later, but the rest of the top 6 are in action on Sunday, so City can go 5 points clear of Liverpool, and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 of the clear of the rest of them, and you don't really see them missing out, do you? They've won all the 7 home matches. If you're looking to see whether or not maybe Bournemouth can get a goal, 4 of 7 teams visiting Manchester City this season have managed to score. That includes the likes of Huddersfield, Newcastle and Southampton, and you'd probably have Bournemouth above those. But then Bournemouth have lost their last 3 matches as well. And in the head-to-heads, this is horrendous for Bournemouth fans. Head-to-heads in Manchester, last season 4-0. Season before that got beat 4-0. Season before that got beat 5-1. So not an awful lot of encouragement there for Bournemouth, I'm afraid. And that 20-1 probably looks about right. City to win 3-0, just for interest's sake, something like that.
I think last week we had City to score 3 goals or more or something, and they delivered for us. They won 4-0 at West Ham. So, yeah, City to win 3-0. I mean, one thing about Manchester City, they may not have pulled clear yet at the top of the English Premier League, but they certainly do look a different class, particularly when they play some of these teams that are a little bit below them. So Manchester City to win comfortably, have a look at a 3-0 there, which will probably be around about, I would imagine, around 8-10 to 1, Chris?
Yeah, I haven't actually written the price down, really. I think it was a bit of an afterthought because I've tried everything with City. Clean sheets for City is good, but more so when they travel. We nailed it last week when they were away at West Ham. But at home, as I say, they have actually let in some consolation goals, you know. So, yeah, maybe there's hope for Bournemouth to score, but I didn't really feel confident enough to put up both teams to score.
Well, I can tell you 3-0 is the second favourite at 13-2. So, yeah, not a bad price. And certainly it's quite interesting to see that, and I'm on World Sports betting site here, they've got other quoted. And in the old days, other used to be 4 goals or more, but I see they are quoting all the way up to 5 goals. So in other words, other would be Manchester City to score 6 goals. And that's at 6-1, and that's actually the favourite in this market. I mean, that's how ruthless City are.
I'm surprised by that, even with their record, but there we go.
Right, that's Manchester City. Perhaps a bit tough to find anything solid so far. So let's go on to Newcastle against West Ham United. Newcastle found a bit of a new lease on life.
Yeah, 3 in a row now. Well done to them. It was looking bleak a few weeks ago. Now they're 4 points clear of the bottom 3, and they're looking more like mid-table than relegation candidates. West Ham are battling. They've got the same points as Newcastle, 12 from 13 games. West Ham's last 2 on the road, they drew 1-1 at Huddersfield, 1-1 at Leicester. I reckon you could say that this is similar in terms of, the type of assignment they've got. Correct score, 1-1, 5-1, I think, 11-2 maybe. I wouldn't put anyone off that. But again, not one to get overly involved in.
Today for the speculative plays, Crystal Palace up against Burnley. Palace are firm favourites here at 6-10. Chris, I'm not touching this game. I just can't catch Crystal Palace right.
Yeah, lots of people suffered with Palace this season, myself included. I've actually got Palace down as a win, but more to do with Burnley's even poorer form than Palace. Palace did get a good point at Man U, hey? 0-0 at Old Trafford last week, and maybe that will spur them on. But still, no win in the last 8 and no win at home this season. 2 points from 6 matches at Selhurst Park. I think that's the worst home record in the Premier League. They're only a point above the drop zone as well, but likewise, Burnley really battling. Same number of points as Palace. No win in the last 6. Lost 2-1 at home to Newcastle Monday night. Yeah, if you offered me a free bet, I'd go with Palace. If you were offering to bankroll a bet for me, I'd probably go with Palace. I'm not sure I'd be parting with my own money, though.
Right, so far we're very lukewarm on all the fancies early in the EPL.
It's not great. So.
Huddersfield against Brighton. 14-10 Huddersfield, 2-1 the draw, and just shy of 5-2 Brighton.
It doesn't get much more inspiring, does it, eh? Huddersfield and Brighton. All right, Huddersfield, 7 points from the last 3 matches. We mentioned that they won 2-0 at Wolves, played very well. I mean, they give it absolutely everything. Eh? They're limited in terms of ability, but they put everything in there, and fair play to them. They're out of the relegation zone now, but they're certainly not out of trouble. Brighton, 15 points, which is a fair tally for them, but only 4 of those away from home. We labelled them for a home win last week, and they were up against Leicester, I think. And Leicester were down to 10 men. Brighton were 1-0 up, and they let us down. But yeah, they're a risky proposition away from home. Lost 5 of 7. Certainly poor travellers. Got rolled in similar circumstances at Cardiff recently, but they did play most of that match with 10 men. The draw, Brent. The draw. Fence-sitting draw.
Fence-sitting draw. I see 2-1. Let's pop over to Sunbet and see what price they've got the draw in that game, and see if we can get anything more out of them. The draw there, or slightly over 2-1 at 41-20. One thing about the English Premier League is not normally a big difference in opinion amongst the bookmakers. So we're going draw there, Huddersfield against Brighton. The final game, is it, of the day? No, it's not the final game, but it's the final 5 o'clock kickoff. It's Leicester up against Watford. Well, Watford held Liverpool last week, Chris, until half-time, but after that, the floodgates opened.
Yeah, definitely. It was looking all right at halftime, eh? They were in the game at 0-0, and they were in the game on the balance of play. But yeah, Liverpool just had way too much for them in the end. Okay, we like a good stat, don't we? So here we go. What have I got here? Right, Leicester in mid-table. They're 4 unbeaten, but 3 of those were draws, and the win came at Cardiff. This is another winnable game, but at home, 1-2, drawn 2, lost 2. I still think they're difficult to catch right, yeah?
Right.
Watford are 2 points better off than Leicester. As we mentioned, they got rolled by Liverpool last week. No surprises there. They're more judged on this sort of game. I see it as a really tough call. However, my bet, 2 to 3 goals in total, my go-to bet. It's arrived in 9 of 13 Watford league matches and 8 of 13 Leicester matches. And that covers a multitude of scores that you could see happening here. I think it's around 9 to 10, Brent. Maybe there's some 19 to 20 out there. 2 to 3 in total, 9 to 10.
2 to 3 in total. Well, I don't think Peter Paul's on the show tonight. I haven't seen any live comments from him. But I do like that one in this game. I think we are going to get goals, but perhaps not as many as sort of 4 or 5. So that 2 to 3 in total at 9 to 10 looks a solid bet.
Yeah, you see, you got 2 teams that are hard to catch right, so match result is one to avoid, in my opinion. And I don't see a deluge of goals, but I don't see it being 0-0. So, yeah, sure, it'll give us a run for our money.
Okay, let's go on to the late kickoff then. Southampton against Manchester United. United 9 to 10 on the road. I incorrectly thought they were away. I thought they were at home when I was on the GG Gaming show with Gary. And I can tell you, he's got 11 to 10 Manchester United. He's looking to take United on. And I can't argue with him there, although Southampton have been very poor.
Okay, now we can get a bit more interesting with the discussion, hey? Because, look, I have tremendous respect for Gary. He certainly loves his English football, hey? And he's nailed some good tips for the viewers over the last few weeks on GG Gaming Gone Mad. You mentioned that you thought United were at home. It might not actually be a bad thing for them that they're away, hey? Dodgy goal in midweek, right in injury time in the Champions League, gave them a 1-0 win over Young Boys, and held at home 0-0 by Crystal Palace last week. But when you look at the stats, Brent, I've just got to scroll down my notes here. Look, 10 of 13 United matches over 2.5 goals, including 6 of 7 away games. Yeah. Now, look, I'm no fan of the way Man United go about their game. I'm no fan of the way that Mourinho goes about his day either. But Southampton's terrible, man. They're 9 without a win. They haven't won at home this season. They have drawn 4, and they got beat in 2. Chelsea won 3-0 at St Mary's earlier in the season. But all the other home games would sort of look winnable for a side that's struggling. They ought to have found a way to get 3 points in at least one of those games, and maybe even 2 or 3. So Southampton's shocking. Now, you have to go back a long way for their home win. They really battled at home last season as well. United might be better away from home. There's pressure on them there when things ain't going right and they're not fluent. They scored 2 goals at Chelsea not that long ago. They even scored 2 goals at Juventus, who many people think are a good punt for Champions League outright winners. Yeah, United to score 2 or more at Southampton at 9 to 10. It flies in the face of what Gary's saying. Although I guess you could say 2-2 draw and everybody's happy. I think it's a pretty good bet actually.
Okay, so at least we got something there to end us off on Saturday night. Looking at Sunday, Chris, we got all the derbies lined up, and the first one is Chelsea and Fulham. Yeah,
Chelsea and Fulham. Now, Fulham, they needed that win last week. Things have been disastrous. Now, how much of it was down to Ranieri taking over? That was his first game in charge, quite possibly. They're still let in a couple of shocking goals, but they managed to get 3-2 as a win. Now, Chelsea got beat 3-1 at Spurs. They slipped to 4th. They're now 7 points behind City. That's probably going to be 10 points behind City come Sunday. Is there a chance that Fulham could score? As the price for both teams to score, you've got to fancy that Chelsea's going to find the net. The price for both teams to score is around 9 to 10. Shop around, maybe you can get a little bit better than that. But generally, it's 9 to 10. Now, if Fulham do score, the guy that's most likely to get it, and I think he got 2 last week, is this big dude up front, Mitrovic. Yeah?
Right.
So at first I had both teams to score up as not that great a selection, but certainly, that was the best that I could find. And then when I thought about it, I thought, no, because if Fulham's going to score, Mitrovic is probably the one that's going to get it. So what about Mitrovic, anytime goal scorer? Because it was such a late call for me, I haven't written the price down again. So I don't know if you can find anything with the markets you've got up there.
I'll certainly have a look now, Chris. I think I'm just wondering, Brent said how's it to us at the start of the show on the live chat, and we've heard nothing from anybody since. And I just saw a tweet pop up on my phone from Peter Paul, he's Magic Man on Twitter, saying the live chat is disabled. So unfortunately, we're not able to interact with the guys. I am, while we're talking in the back settings, trying to find a solution to that problem. But anyway, I'll keep trying while you're chatting on the next one. I'm just going to post a test message now. But I'll have a look for that, Chris, while you're talking about the next game, and that's Arsenal against Spurs at the big London derby.
Yeah, definitely. This is the match of the weekend, I think, although Liverpool and Everton fans might say otherwise. Okay, Brent, while you look for that, Arsenal 27 points. Spurs have got 30 points. Arsenal 11 league games without defeat, 8 wins and 3 draws. Spurs have won 7 of their last 8 in the league. Away from home, Spurs have travelled 8 times, and they've won 7 and lost 1. And the defeat came at Watford, as you will no doubt remember. So both sides in cracking form, no two ways about that, yeah? Arsenal at home to top sides this season. They lost to City, 2-0, Manchester City, but that was like right at the start of the season when, they were still getting to know each other, the new guys they'd brought in and a new coach. Much better reflection might have been a more recent draw with Liverpool, which was a cracking game, could have gone either way. Spurs, although I've mentioned that they've got the best away record as it stands in the Premier League, the highest placed team currently that Spurs have visited is Man United, and Spurs won that game 3-0. Now, I think Man U is 7th, so Spurs haven't been to any of the, the top 5, the top 6. When you look at the betting markets, Brent, I thought the draw stood out at 26-10. The goals markets definitely favouring a high-scoring game. But if you look at the head-to-heads, the last 4 have been under 2.5 goals. So I wouldn't get too carried away about that. It took me a while to settle on this. I wouldn't put anyone off the draw. And if they fancy the draw, I wouldn't put them off 1-1, which you can get around 5-1. I think it's trading. But Arsenal often start slowly here. They tend to do their best work in the second half. I do fancy goals, but at least a couple. And I thought maybe if Spurs score first, Harry Kane's the man. And he's first goal scorer. He's around 7-2. If you want to be a bit more conservative and you fancy Spurs will score, I think Kane's around 17-20 to score any time. What do you think to that logic?
That's a nice one. And, it leads me to what we discussed on the GG Gaming on Match. So Gary's putting up one of his wild promotions again. I'm unfortunately running a bit behind. I need to put all the terms and conditions in that there. But essentially what it will be, you'll go on Twitter and you'll tweet the first goal scorer in the 2 big derbies. That's the Liverpool derby and the Arsenal derby. So he wants to know the first Arsenal goal scorer, the first Spurs goal scorer, the first Liverpool, the first Everton, and no goal scorer being a runner as well. And if you can nail all 4 of those, the entry fee, you must at least place a 100 Rand bet on one of the 2 games before the Arsenal game kicks off. If you can nail all 4 of those, 25,000 Rands worth of free bets.
Okay, well, there's Harry Kane as one.
There's Harry Kane. We've got our banker there, Harry Kane. And
for Arsenal, what would we do? For Arsenal, Aubameyang, he's their leading scorer, and he has been starting. They had a guy, who's the other guy up front? Lacazette? I think he was injured last week. But they can share the goals around Arsenal, hey? So that's a bit trickier. I don't know. I think we go with Aubameyang. He's the man the stats would say.
Who's
and then Liverpool Everton we'll talk about next. I think that's a bit more tricky than what it might seem at first glance.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that one now. Finally, the live chat is up. So Peter Paul coming in now. I have no idea what that was down. Sorry about that, guys. Your man, was it Mitrovic you were looking for in the Fulham game? 49-20. That's any time, and 17-2 first goal scorer.
I think you'd probably be better off any time than first goal scorer, although don't rule it out. I'm just thinking, if you take the view that Fulham are going to score, then you're better off with Mitrovic anytime goal scorer than you are with both teams to score at odds on.
Okay, yeah, anytime there, right? Yeah, I like that as well. Okay, Chris takes us on to Liverpool against Everton. Let me have a quick squiz at the betting. I haven't had a good look at this game yet. We've got Liverpool firm favourites at 4-10, 4-1 the draw, and 27-4 Everton. What's the recent head-to-head record like between these sides?
Okay, last season both were draws. I haven't written down the scores. I think they were fairly low score. Last season in the league, 2 draws is what I've got there. And I've actually got the draw down here, and it's backed up by our friend at GG Gaming Ambassador, Jeremy Brocky. Yeah. I know he called, if we go back to, was it a couple of weeks ago? Everton were at Chelsea, and he nailed the draw in that, which was trading at quite a nice price, I think, because Chelsea were really short, but maybe similar to what it is in this one. I just think that Liverpool, I don't think they were disastrous at all away to PSG. I mean, they came up against a really powerful team there who started incredibly well. They lost 2-1, but I think that might have taken a lot out of them. Hey, I mean, they've got depth in the squad. There's quality that they had on the bench there in Paris in midweek, but yeah, I just wonder. Everton's in decent enough form. They hit the top 6 last week. They've won 5 of the last 7. They've got that 0-0 draw at Chelsea as sort of evidence that they can mix it away from home. Yeah, you know, I just think that maybe that result in midweek might just take the wind out of Liverpool's sails a little bit. But yeah, Liverpool, they've only conceded once at home this season. Won 5, drawn 1, scored 14, conceded 1. That's what I've got here. So, yeah, I toyed with Everton to both teams to score. And that was about 8-10. And I thought, no, that's way too short. Let's just go with a match result draw and hope that Everton can grind a point out.
Yeah, and 4-1 is not a bad price on the draw.
Yeah, 4-1. Well, there you go. Yeah, I like it, Brent.
That's quite a good price. Vin now on the live chat, Van Dijk to score at 17-2, a bit of a speculative play from him. And Peter Paul, what's he saying here about Jeremy scored again? Yeah, and he's right. I actually saw Jeremy Brocky's goal. I've got a feeling it was maybe for international side or something, or was it Sundowns up in Africa? I'm not too sure.
You know they were playing. There's a story behind this. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, please do. It was a cracking goal.
Sundowns were on Tuesday, certainly midweek. I assume Tuesday. They were in Equatorial Guinea, and the team that they were playing. And I don't know if I've got the pronunciation right here, but I've got the story right. It's actually on the SuperSport website. The team that they were playing is owned by a Spanish guy who's a vegetarian. And he's called this team in Equatorial Guinea Vegetarianos. Vegetarianos. And Sundowns went up there looking to roast them, and they came away with a 2-0 win. So there you go. And Jeremy got the first goal.
And it was a cracker. Did you see it on?
Didn't see it. I don't really follow these CAF Champions League, and they're only at the qualifying stage, you know. But it was good to see Jeremy in the goals, yeah.
But have a look at his Twitter account when you get the chance, because he retweeted. Someone actually put it on Twitter, so it's just a quick 20-second clip, but a stunning volley that he scored.
All power to him. Well done.
And the guys can have a look at the live comments there. Peter Paul just pointing out Jeremy scored. So if you place a soccer bet, you're in the draw with GG Gaming for a 5,000 Rand free bet. So nothing wrong with that one. Where does that leave us on the English Premier League, Chris? We were wrapping up, I think, on the Liverpool-Everton. We said the 4-1 the draw there.
4-1 the draw looks like value, I think.
Yeah.
Although Liverpool's home record might suggest otherwise, but in the circumstances, with Everton going well, Liverpool having that tough game in midweek, 4-1, I think is more than fair.
Yeah, that sounds fair enough for me. Chris, anything else stand out for you soccer-wise on the weekend?
I would like to dip into League One, but unfortunately we've got FA Cup this weekend. Sunderland are at Walsall, same team that they drew with last week. They're playing them again in the cup. They're a shade of odds against to score 2 goals or more, but I haven't backed it, Brent, and I'd just be a little bit wary because I think we might see a few team changes and we're not overly abundant with strikers either. So to be honest, I think I'll leave League One aside. They did us proud, did the mighty Mackhams on Tuesday night at home to Barnsley. So I think we'll wait for League One to return, and I'll go with, and I'm probably going to be in the minority here, but I'll go with Man United to score 2 or more away at Southampton as my best bet.
Right. Price there again, Chris?
9 to 10.
9 to 10. Okay, great. Vin just asking for your opinions on first goal scorer markets in the Liverpool game.
Salah's the man, isn't he? And then for Everton, maybe they share him around a little bit more. Richarlison, I think, is their leading goal scorer. Van Dijk, was it Vin that mentioned Van Dijk?
Yes.
I can't see the comments, unfortunately. Now, I've gone down this road with this guy before, and I think it was Van, who posts regular on the football on our discussion forum. He mentioned to me that Van Dijk, I think he scored on his debut, and it was against Everton, right? And he hadn't scored since. But when you see this guy, he goes all up for all the set pieces. He causes absolute havoc. I'm sure that Liverpool get a lot of goals because this guy is, he's like the big threat, and somebody else maybe sneaks in under the radar, So I think he's a runner, and I have actually backed him any time, in a few games, and I'm sure he's going to pop up at some stage. It's a bit like old Thomas de Gent in the cycling, that he's he's a contender,
and he's generally going to pop up when you're not on him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I would put anyone off Van Dijk. So yeah, it's another good spot from Vin as usual.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Chris, and thanks for your best bet of United to score. Was it 2 or more, eh?
United just got 2 or more. I think they'll get 2. And again, I'll say, Brent, it's not because I'm a huge fan of the way Man U play, but I just think that Southampton are shocking.
And I mean, I've got to say that the 11 to 10, then United to win. If you like that 2 or more, you've got to fancy the 11 to 10 at GG Gaming a bit.
I guess you probably have, but maybe just in case Southampton do find their shooting boots, I'll go with I'll have 2-2 running for me as well. Then, hey.
Right. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for joining us in the live comments. Apologies, it wasn't working all the time. Chris, thanks very much for joining us. Plenty of action. I'm going to be sticking a replay of a couple of the other shows on this at the end. But first of all, Chris, thanks very much to you, and we'll probably chat on Monday night.
Yep, let's do that for next week's midweek program. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us on Good for the Game TV. It's Summer Cup weekend, and you can catch the preview up here of the GBet Summer Cup. And on the other side of me, well, you can watch our flagship rugby show, The Handicap. Thanks very much, everyone, and a good punting this weekend.